Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
And good morning to, in fact, be talk radio without the static, but what we are is talk radio with a cough. And I just want to apologize up front for it. It was happening all last week as well. And I at least know now what's going on. I admittedly was concerned because my breathing seems to be affected. And it turns out that it is a common side effect of the lung surgery that I had 4 weeks ago. So nothing to be done about it except wait it out and as my lung heals, I guess. So I'm sorry. And talking for essentially an hour straight, and sometimes screaming and hyperventilating is going to mean that I'm going to end up coughing in your ears, which is annoying as hell for you, and I'm sorry, but it's not controllable. Okay? That's my apology, and I'm not going to apologize throughout because there's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, hello, welcome to the horror. My brother called me this weekend, and he said, I think more than once, I just feel like I'm living, like I'm in a nightmare. You know, he keeps hoping to wake up, and I think that's a metaphor that an awful lot of us have have arrived at, because it is it's true, it's apt. It does seem a nightmare on a daily basis, and it is hard to control oneself and to know when to really, allow yourself to feel alarm and when to just let something go, something that is simply meant to get our goats, but is not in particularly horrific, well, in today's standards of what is horrific, which bears no similarities to what we would have determined as horrific 20 years ago, with even 10 years ago, whatever. Unbelievable. I just quickly on the stuff, most recent stuff I've seen, it's illegal. I mean, almost everything he's doing, we know, is unconstitutional. It is illegal. But this is how he's done his business as well in the private sector, is you pay no attention to legalities, you do what you're going to do, and then you use the courts to delay and delay and delay, and knowing full well that eventually you'll be told you can't do that. But every once in a while, a court gives you a little gift and you get away with something. This, what he has come out with today, or maybe it was yesterday, about rescinding essentially all of President Biden's pardons is, I mean, you can't do that. No one's ever done it because you can't do that. He really is behaving, not that I'm telling you anything you don't know, as if he is the government, the sole power. until someone tells them otherwise. And since that ain't going to be Congress, it is only going to be the Supreme Court, and that's not a certainty. We will continue to see this just a stunning, unconstitutional behavior. I think the deportation of these men to some hellhole in El Salvador that apparently we will be paying the El Salvadoran government to hold these people. If you've seen video, which I unfortunately saw a little clip of this morning, of the men that had been flown to this El Salvadoran prison, the treatment of these men. I don't know one of them. I don't know what each and every one is alleged and or convicted of having done. My sense is a lot of them, it's just allegations. I don't know. We don't know. Could be some innocent soul just picked up off the street. Could be somebody who said something that the government didn't like to hear. It can be anything in this America. You're essentially sort of disappeared. But to see these humans, because that is what they are, to see these human beings, I mean, shackled and unable to really even, they're like walking in a, they can't even stand upright, and being subjected to just, you can tell, I mean, it's just, it's horrific, horrific. And I can't imagine what we're not seeing. I can't imagine. And I don't think I want to, because it takes us right back to our nightmare, does it not? And then that which I had little doubt would be the case, we are seeing evidence that even if Trump is told by the federal courts to cease and desist, to stop doing something that the judge has said is patently unconstitutional, they're ignoring it. They're ignoring it. They've been told already to release a lot of funds that they impounded. There's no evidence that they have done that. So they are in contempt of the law and the judiciary. And then a judge, as you well know, this weekend, in an emergency ruling, told them that this sending off of these men to the hellhole in El Salvador was likely illegal, and that the planes, if they have taken off, should be turned around and brought back to the United States. They were not. There were 3 planes, I believe. They all landed. And I think it was the Washington Post that did a timeline, because you can track planes, of when the judge's order came down and when the planes landed. And so we've heard that, well, if the Trump administration refuses to obey when the courts tell them you can't do that, then, folks, that's a full-blown constitutional crisis. Because as I've mentioned, and I'm hardly the only one who's noted it, that the courts, when they rule, do not have an enforcement arm. And so if you are an autocrat intending to truly become a king, you consider rulings from these courts as like gnats that you just swipe away. You pay no attention. Annoyances. So if all that we had to counter this usurpation by this administration of, well, people's freedoms, our freedoms, the rule of law, the list can go on and on and on. I forgot where that sentence started. It's a nightmare. All I'm saying. It's a nightmare. I wish someone could take these people down. I never, I mean, we're hearing this too from people. We knew that we were in grave danger if he returned to office. But I think it's a rare person who contemplated the speed and the level of destruction in what, 60 days? 60 days. And you wonder when his voters are going to perhaps wake up. You wonder. I was looking at a headline that said, "Oh, that's not the one because they don't care about that." Oh, here it is. Trump's acts boost stocks. I think what? Well, that's not the whole headline. Trump's acts boost stocks outside the US. And the article is about the fact that the S&P 500, which for years and years and years had been soaring way above the stock markets of all the other countries in this world. Well, it's not doing it anymore because we and our markets are now trailing the major markets in Europe, in China. And you know why? Because if you're somebody with a ton of money and you're going to make an investment, you're not going to be putting it where you used to put it, which is into the United States, which was one of the safer bets you could make. It ain't a safe bet anymore. And so that money that used to come into our markets is now going to Germany, is going to the UK, is going to France, is going to China. The market in Hong Kong has risen some 20% since Trump started fiddling with our economy. So it's hard to argue that he is not some kind of enemy agent sent to destroy our economy, our democracy, our unity, our pride, our position, our reputation. Because with all of that, the guy is doing a slam bang job. Got a caller here early on a Monday. Let's see. Hello. What's up?
Oh my. Oh, Lynn.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, yeah. Maybe this was meant to be. I've always wanted to speak with you, but I never feel like I have anything that important. I'm on hold because I couldn't connect the way I usually do, just to listen to your show. So that's it.
What do you mean you couldn't connect? You couldn't hear the show?
I cannot.
How do you usually listen? On YouTube?
No.
Pittsburgh
through
City
City Paper.
And you couldn't get the show?
I can't connect today for some reason. I don't know why. You know what? Well, I probably shouldn't do this, but here we go.
Go ahead.
Whatever happened to Claire Thomas?
To Claire Thomas or Clarence Thomas? Who?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What happened?
Claire Thomas, the local broadcaster.
Claire?
From Pitcairn.
I don't know a Claire Thomas from Pitcairn.
Oh, you do. You just don't remember him.
Okay.
He filled in for you years ago.
You're kidding me.
And are you still married to Dimitri?
Oh, Jesus H. God dang.
Oh, see, now you're talking about such serious topics, and that's why I don't call you.
Oh, I see.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay.
I don't want to bring your show down.
Well, no, I mean,
will you leave me on hold so I can hear you today?
I don't know how to. Yes, I can. I see how I can do that. Okay, I'll do that, but I don't.
Okay, great.
Thank
I
you.
love you. Thank you.
Oh, bye. Goodbye. Oh, my Lord. Don't ask me. So, God, it is true that, this guy doesn't want to talk about serious stuff. Why are you listening? I can't imagine. Because I feel a responsibility to talk about serious stuff. But the thing is, it just keeps coming. Yeah, as I say, and you don't even know which way to turn. You know, you feel like you're being, time traveled back by this crowd. And in fact, I mean, his pulling out the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which is the law that he used to put these poor souls on those planes. Alien Enemies Act, 1798. That's a golden oldie and hasn't been used in a hell of a long time because, well, every time it's used, we end up feeling, well, like we made a big mistake because the last time it was used was when we rounded up Japanese Americans and against their will put them in jails, well, camps, right? The act, if you look it up, it says that in the event of, and this is the law, in the event of an invasion or predatory incursion, the government can detain and remove citizens of the nation which committed the invasion or which is at war, essentially, with the United States is at war. Now, just because Trump calls this people coming across our borders an invasion, it doesn't constitute a war. Whatever, all I know is the federal judge who heard the case said, "What? Turn those planes around." God, 1798, for God's sake. And the last time we used it, we ended up apologizing. Much, 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 much too late, but we did eventually apologize. Caller, go ahead.
Hello, Lynn. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. I'm sure you know, over the weekend there was a march on Washington for veterans rallying against Trump.
Yes.
Excuse me. And I was a participant as I'm a disabled Vietnam veteran. And I listen to your show every morning, and we agree on the same things. And it was beautiful to see 3,000 people protesting this president, or so-called president that we have, and his policies. And it was just moving. And you can look at it on YouTube, Jessica Denson, and type it in and look at March Now, and it will show you the whole thing. And Saturday, excuse me, we marched on MSNBC, CNN, and Fox. And Sunday, we marched on the Heritage Center, which is the procreator of 2025.
Exactly.
Project 2025.
Yes.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to the other listeners.
Oh, listen, that's wonderful, and thank you for having the energy and the good citizenship to travel and to put your feet on the ground.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm really serious. But so why would you include MSNBC in with Fox News as a protest site?
They seem to be caving in, not the hosts of the shows, but it just seems like the major news medias are caving into this guy. He's extorting them. He's just a gangster thug, and he's basically controlling all of our media. And so shows like yours, the people I've named, Jessica Denson and Cliff Cash is his name. They organized this thing, and it was mobilized all over the country, and it was great. And there's more of us than there is of them.
Well, I agree.
To do that.
But here's what I want to know. So are you aware that Fox, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, did they cover this march? Because I didn't see anything in either the Washington Post or the New York Times.
No, and that's the reason why we marched in front of them, so that they could show our side of it. Not everybody loves the Orange King, and quite frankly, there's more of us that don't like his policies, and we don't want Elon Musk doing anything. He's not elected. He has no business doing anything. And the veterans, and not just the veterans, it was a rally to support the Ukraine, how they were thrown under the bus with this guy. It was a rally to include gays and Black Lives Matter, everything that this guy hates. There were multitudes of people that was dissenting against it. And it was basically for the veterans. And there were, like I say, there were 3,000 of us there Saturday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday, maybe not quite as much, but it was throngs of people. And they're very passionate, and it was well behaved. We didn't trample on any private property or urinate and defecate into the Capitol or break any windows or properties, but it was very effective. And they have to listen to us because it's not going to stop.
Good.
It's only going to get more fierce if they don't listen and show America not lies, but the truth of how the country really feels. And a lot of the people there were people that have buyer's remorse, voted for him, and now have lost their federal jobs.
Yeah.
They're losing their benefits. And it's switching over now. I think they're waking up and smelling the coffee. It may be late, but the people will uprise against these people.
Well, from
be.
your mouth to God's ears, and I want to again, hey, thank you for your service in both instances as a member of the military, but also as a citizen in fighting for your country. Thank you.
I can barely walk, but you know what? It's our democracy now. It's beyond party. It's not party. It's about our freedoms. It's about our country. And I think people need to all wake up. And that's why I loved your show. For years, I've paid attention to you. I'm in Johnstown. In fact, one time you couldn't get on, and I accidentally hooked up with your sister Sue's, and we were laughing like crazy. And I'm the one, I don't know if you remember maybe a month or so ago.
Right, I do.
Her and I were talking like, it was funny. Anyway,
you were both what? You were both.
Joe. I'm from.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
I'm Joe from Johnstown, and I'm a big fan of yours.
Joe,
God bless you.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. You too. Bye-bye. Bye. Wow. You know, I have to say that you do feel so much like you can tell he feels energized, feels better, that he acted, that he found himself with others like-minded who were acting. And I just want to say that I recall saying something maybe a few weeks ago, and this was after that horrific, shameful attempt to humiliate Zelensky in the Oval Office, that setup, that ambush that only humiliated, of course, us, the people of the United States. And it was so upsetting to me, and I felt so helpless. And walking my dog, I had seen that two of my neighbors at a few blocks away had both hung large Ukrainian flags. And I thought, geez, wouldn't it be wonderful if everybody did? It's a quiet act of not only solidarity with the beleaguered and brave people of Ukraine, but also a way to state what this caller, what Joe from Johnstown just said, that this administration is not representing us. More Americans cannot tolerate him and what he's doing than those who support him. And I think those numbers will only grow as the obvious intent of his to destroy this democracy continues apace. So I had mentioned that I'd had this vision of the street festooned with Ukrainian flags one night when I couldn't sleep, which happens a lot. And then you guys told me of a place here in the Pittsburgh area, Castle Shannon, called the Flag Factory, which had Ukrainian flags for sale and which was giving a sizable amount of the price of each flag to Brothers Brother, which is a wonderful, wonderful charity. So I did. I don't know if I told you this. I don't think I did. God help me if I'm getting so old and not remembering what I've said and what I haven't said. But I did go to the Flag Factory and I bought 40 3x5 Ukrainian flags. And they're just $15 a piece. And I believe $10, 2/3 of that price, the owner of the Flag Factory sends to Brothers Brother. So, I mean, that is incredible in its generosity. And also says something about, obviously, the character of the man who runs this store. So, with my 40 flags, I then went and bought some little bags. I put a flag in each bag, and then I wrote a little explanation about this vision I'd had. And then with the help of two friends, because I ain't walking too well these days, and this being Pittsburgh, a lot of people's front doors require walking up a lot of steps. We put the flags on people's doorsteps a week ago from Sunday. And then when I got back home, I said to my friends, you know, it occurs to me that I might be in for a rude awakening here, and that people will perceive what I've done as, I don't know, pushy or certainly unwelcome, and they have no intention of flying a flag, and they don't have a flagpole, and what the hell did I think, and blah, blah, blah. And I really worried. But then I thought, what the hell? I mean, I did what I did because I felt like I had to do something. And then little by little, damn, if those flags didn't start going up. And it's not all of them, nowhere near it. Well, it's about half of them. So in a like 2.5 block section of my neighborhood, there are now 21, I think, large blue and yellow flags flying. And you know, it does make a statement, because it's not normal to see that many flags flying, let alone a foreign nation's flag. Well, I'm just saying to you, you want to fly one? The Flag Factory. Don't go to Amazon. Don't give Jeff effing Bezos any money. Go to the Flag Factory, where you'll be giving to charity as well as supporting local business, as well as supporting the good people of Ukraine. Because I have little doubt that the vast majority of Americans support Ukraine, not the Kremlin, as that maniac in the White House does. The car salesman in the White House does. I mean, my God, using the White House as to sell cars for his money man. Uneffing believable. And now you see, oh, this, I couldn't believe this when I saw it. Maybe you didn't see it. I saw it. In case you missed it. Because Elon Musk is so hated, people are protesting outside Tesla dealerships. Some have engaged in criminal activity with dealerships, to be sure, but not a lot of that. But they are out there protesting. And without a doubt, I think most of the people who originally bought a Tesla, my nephew for one, did so because they loved the idea of having an electric car, and a car that apparently was, ahead of its time and yada, yada, yada. But, like my nephew, they're now mortified to be driving a Musk car because they don't for a minute want to be seen as supportive in any way of this vile, crippled character. He and Trump are such just amazingly well partnered couple, both with the same sort of crippled emotional characters, soulless, lacking any empathy or concern for anybody but themselves, mad with power, infantile in their emotional development, made for each other. So, yeah, Tesla's been taking an economic hit. And so the President of the United States used the White House, which ain't his, it's ours, used public property to try to boost this private business. And then, get this, they are now threatening, and the Attorney General, the loathsome Pam Bondi of the state of Florida, the Attorney General is saying that anyone they catch, well, it just says anti-Tesla protesters could be charged, get this, as domestic terrorists. I kid you not. Here is a quote from Bondi. If you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything. Now, she didn't say do anything criminal. She just said do anything, like hold a sign. If you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you. And if you're funding any of this, we're coming after you. We're going to find who you are. And she went on to say, you would be labeled as a domestic terrorist. Now, if instead you did like what the January 6th patriots did, as our caller Joe reminded us, if you, took a dump in the U.S. Capitol, you would not be considered a domestic terrorist. You would be considered a true patriot. Yep, that's where we are. These and that so many people succumb to these attempts to intimidate people, to intimidate them from speaking out, from acting, all of which are American freedoms, right? So anyway, Sean Hannity's gone out and bought one, a Tesla. And now all over right-wing media, good Republicans are being told to go buy a Tesla, which is so effing funny because they don't like electric cars, right? Think of all those mag rats living in rural and small town America. They won't even be able to drive anywhere and charge their Tesla. But go buy it for the poor gazillionaire who's taking a little bit of a financial hit. Unbelievable. Yeah. If you look askance at a Tesla, you're a domestic terrorist. Only in Trump's America. You can't make it up. Uh-oh. My show is now offline? What the fuck? My call, that's not my for some reason I screwed up my the call in. I don't think I'm offline, but the ability to call is offline, and that's my doing. I screwed up. I'm sorry, but I think you guys can still hear me, right? And I don't know how to get back on in the 15 minutes we have left without, sort of forgetting the show. So sorry. Hey, you know what I want to do? Milton's telling me I'm good on YouTube. Great. Hey, I read the scariest, as if the nightmare we're living in isn't bad enough. I read the scariest thing yesterday. If I could find it, I'll share some of it with you. Hang on. It dovetails with fears that I have had and have shared with you for a long time of the astonishing technological revolution that we've all been living in, and the speed with which it just continues to speed up and speed up and speed up, so that if you're managing to sort of keep up, you're probably young or somehow gifted in some way that I sure as hell aren't. But this AI we heard of, first you just started hearing about it, and now it's already here. We all have had the, lovely experience of maybe calling for customer support for something or customer service, and clearly, even though it seems like you're talking to a human, you're not. So yeah, the robots are everywhere, and it can be maddening. But we're told it keeps getting better and better, and these robots keep getting more and more extraordinary. And the thing that has always terrified me is, Well, if they get smarter than we are, then I'm sorry, there must be a million science fiction books, movies written about it. If they're smarter than we are, what's going to prevent them from taking over? I'd like to know. And I mean, even Kubrick, back in what now looks like this, laughable 2001, laughable in terms of its very limited ability to do special effects and all of that kind of stuff. But even back then, the idea of the computer, HAL, going rogue. But okay, so all that is to set up this thing that I read in the New York Times by a guy whose job is to cover tech. I mean, that's what he does. His name is Kevin Roose. And I'll tell you right now, the headline says, AI will soon be smarter than humans. Well, I'll tell you, it's already smarter than a whole lot of humans. I give you Donald Trump's voters. Anyway, here's a few highlights. Okay, you ready? You measly little humans. Very soon, he says, probably in 2026, that'd be next year, or 2027, possibly as soon as this year, one or more AI companies will claim that they have created an artificial general intelligence, or AGI. You'll be hearing that term a lot, which is usually defined as a general purpose AI system that can do almost all cognitive tasks that a human can do. This guy goes on to say that most people, without a doubt, most institutions are totally unprepared. They're unprepared for the AI system that exists right now, let alone for what's coming down the pike in the next year or two. And he says, guys, I got to tell you, there is no realistic plan at any level of government to mitigate the risks or to capture the benefits that will result. Unless you think, oh, he's just a hysteric, right? Like Cullen. No, he's not. He says, I believe that whether you think AGI will be great or terrible for humanity, and honestly, it's too early to say, its arrival, its imminent arrival, raises important questions to which we have no answer. These questions are economic, they're political, they're technological, they're moral, they're big. And all this column he wrote is saying, guys, the right time to start thinking about this stuff and preparing is yesterday, 5 years ago. And then he makes clear, he said, I didn't arrive at where I am as some starry-eyed futurist or an investor hoping my AI portfolio, is going to go boom. He says, I arrived where I am as a journalist who's spent an awful lot of time talking to the engineers who are building these systems, also talking to the investors who are funding it, and to the researchers studying the effects of it. And I've come to believe that what's happening right now is a lot bigger than most people realize or understand. We're talking big change. We're talking world-shaking change. The kind of transformation that humans have never seen before, and it's just around the corner. And then he points out something that I have noted. He says the most disorienting thing about today's artificial intelligence industry is that the people who are closest to the technology, the executives and the employees leading the artificial intelligence labs and development, they're the ones who tend to be the most worried. Worried about the speed with which this is happening, the speed with which these machines are improving. Make no mistake, these companies are actively, unlike our government, are actively preparing for the arrival of these, what I think will be people replacing machines. And they are studying potentially frightening things, such as, here's the biggie as far as I'm concerned, such as whether these machines will be capable of deception. If they're going to have like human brains, and that's what they're being trained to have, if they're going to have human brains, will they, because human brains are capable of deception and scheming. And guys, if these machines that are going to be smarter than all of us are capable of scheming and deception, and you can add a lot of other human qualities to the list, and they become more and more capable and more autonomous. Well, I ask you, can you imagine what could happen? I mean, this is a very long article, but guys, you don't. Anyway, he goes on to say, today software engineers tell me that AI does most of the actual coding now, and that the software engineers, increasingly feel that their job is only to supervise them. So stop and think about that right there. Think of all the young people in the last, 20 years who went to college and instead of, being English majors like the baby boomers might have been, or history majors, instead of getting themselves into, the liberal arts, they thought, I'm going to prepare myself for the world that's coming. I'm getting into tech. I'm getting into STEM, right? Technology. I'm going to learn how to write code, or I'm going to, be a programmer. That's a surefire job. Whoops. If the software engineers now say they're not themselves writing code anymore, the machines are, and all they're doing is supervising the machines, then, as you well know, supervisors, there are a lot fewer supervisor jobs than there are the drudge jobs of actually doing the work. So all those jobs are going to be gone. All those jobs that these smart young people prepared themselves for, poof. So the last wrenching kind of upheaval in the work world, certainly around here, was felt by mostly blue-collar workers, right? Well, guys, they're coming for the people who are white-collar, who have degrees up the wazoo, who are smart as can be. And the fact is, these companies aren't going to have to employ them. Machines don't take vacations. They don't require health insurance. The only thing humans are going to be able to do is take care of the machine, serve the machinery. What I never understood, and I've been asking this question forever, is how the hell did the geniuses who put us on this path, how the hell did they miss this part? The consequence. And I've told you ad nauseum about this experience I had. It would be like 1981. And I had just come here to Pittsburgh, and I was sent off as a TV reporter to Carnegie Mellon to do a story on this robot that they now had delivering mail in a certain office. And when I got there, I was really disappointed because I was expecting, like some robot walking down and, carrying a mail bag. And of course, it was just a cart with mail on it that was going up and down aisles and stopping at desks. And the guy who was showing this to me was so excited and so proud. And I said to him, I said, yeah, okay, right, but what's going to happen to the guy in the mailroom who used to do this? From the beginning, that was the obvious question I had. And it was batted away. Oh, well, people will be trained to this and that and blah, blah, blah. But it sounded like BS to me then, and it still sounds like BS to me now. So I'm just saying, it's around the corner. And then the change will happen very rapidly. I have a friend who was so excited because her son, who'd been working at Home Depot, got into some special program where he learned how to code. It's a program that then supposedly they teach people how to code and then they find them jobs. And she was so excited. And I was thinking of him last night. And this poor kid who just did all that and all the dreams he had. Poof. So just, a word of warning. Not that we can do a damn thing about it. But he said also that, companies, corporations, no, that's not what I mean. Nations are all like going nuts right now, trying to be the ones who are going to get to this place first, because this will change everything, including, and we've seen little possibilities of it, how nations make war on each other. It'll all be the machines. So I leave you with what my son, I so love this thing, and I know I've said it a million times. My 6-year-old boy said to me, actually right in the room I'm sitting in now, he said to me, "Mom, you're lucky. At least you're not going to have to live under robot overlords." At the time, I laughed, but it stuck with me. And I ain't laughing anymore.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.